A very warm welcome to my distinguished guests and participants for another virtual seminar that we've been doing. In the past few months, we took a short break, not deliberately, but as a result of a few hiccups here and there. But we are back on and you are most welcome. Today we have an interesting topic as that the mental health reflections of attachment in adult relationship. That's an interesting topic. When I mentioned it to my facilitators, they were enthused about it. It seems something trivial and we take it lightly, but it has a lot of mental health implications for all of us. In as much as we all have a style of attaching to one another. And attachment, it occurs in various forms, either in a partnership relationship, parental relationship, even an authority figure. You've had an authority figure, how you attach to that person, and in friendship. But today, more or less, we are going to look at more of adult intimate relationships, sort of. So before we start, as usual, let me quickly run through our housing keeping rules that we've abided by all this while. You do well to mute yourself the moment you join. If you're a new person, please mute yourself. And we are going to discuss mental health issues. And for that matter, if you get the opportunity to speak, or you are going to share a comment, ask a question, please be mindful that we are talking mental health. You need to be empathetic. You need to be sensitive. And then again, question time, just raise your hand. Just click the ask a question, and when I notice it, I'll just call you. If you are not aware, this is the 24th of the seminars we've done so far. And all of them, but this one is on YouTube. All of them, but this one is on YouTube. So if you're interested, just type in MHA webinar and just put in any figure from 1 to 23. Better still, you can even add a keyword: sleep, dementia, stress, sex, workplace. It would pop up and we are free to watch all of them. So we have some fantastic facilitators. They are not new to this program. We've been with them quite a few times. Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur, he is a medical doctor as well as a clinical psychologist. 12 years of experience in both fields. He does part-time lecturing and counseling and all that. So he knows his stuff. So I say hello to our participants. Hello, Ike. Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur.
Yes, I went on off a little. So if you could.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Grateful.
Yes. We also have Ms. Abna Fosuya. She's a clinical psychologist and a lecturer at Holistic Counseling and Training Consult. I call her Abna. Abna, say hello to my participants. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Newman. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great, great. And our final facilitator, Dr. Pearl Edu Nyako. She's a psychiatrist at the Komfo Anoche Teaching Hospital. specializing in child and adolescent mental health, as well as a lecturer in the Department of Psychiatry, School of Medicine, a member of the College of Physicians and Surgeons, as well as the Psychiatric Association of Ghana. Pearl, say hello to our participants.
Hello, Doctor.
I see you are in a vehicle, so your
Hello.
network will be challenged, but you will survive. All right, let's keep on. I have some friends all over the globe. I see him, Mr. Prepara, all the way in the USA, joining us.
Hello.
I have a few in Australia too as well. That's great. You are most welcome.
Thank you.
So attachments. Attachment. Ike, let me start with you. Did I leave something out? Yes. What is attachment? How are attachments formed? And how do they contribute? This is a loaded question. I want you to warm us up.
I'm wondering why you chose me to warm you up this hot afternoon. Just me to warm you up. But I want to say a big thank you to you for the invitation, and thank you to all those who are on this bill. So basically, attachment means attachment. You know, the feeling of belonging that you have and the bonding that you feel towards someone else or things. So we develop attachments for individuals and also for things. And those attachments, you know, is our way of what do you call it? It's one of our ways of ensuring that sense of security and belonging, and also is part of our coping with life. So right from the womb, attachments begin right from the womb. You know, that interaction that you're having with the mother from the womb, right? And that connection that you have from the mother from the womb. Then it becomes reinforced. You know, there's a research I was looking at, I think yesterday or so, that talked about the fact that, you know, everything that happens to the mother, actually, the baby feels it. So when the mom is singing, is talking, you know, everything else that is happening to the mother, the baby is experiencing it on another level, right? And when the baby comes out of the womb, the attachment and that kind of feeling that they have is reinforced or not. You know, so the first time the baby comes out, the baby starts interacting with the mother. So when it comes to breastfeeding and all that, so the mother carries baby on the chest. That level of interaction that the mother has with the baby, and even the father has with the baby, actually reinforces that kind of attachment that the baby was experiencing even in the womb, right? And so there's some research who will tell you that the breastfed kids are more attached to their parents than those who are not breastfed. You know, so it starts from there. I know I was breastfed. I think it was even up to 7 years, right? So the breastfeeding bit, you know, between the mother.
You are a pro. You are a pro when it comes to breastfeeding.
You know, so that level of interaction that the baby has with the parents and significant others actually reinforces the attachment that people have. And I said that the goal of attachment, or what do you call it, the reasons for attachment, a sense of belonging, security, and also identity. You know, every person develops a certain identity from a certain relationship that they have, even with their words. You know, and we also develop these attachments with things like the sense of attachment to certain foods, to certain environments, to you know, some items and gadgets and all that. And in spirituality, that concept we term as connectedness, the feeling of connectedness to others and to creation, you know. And so that sense of connectedness is what makes life worth living, is what gives you the sense that, you know, this one belongs to me. I am important, I am relevant, I am needed, I am wanted. and that is attachments are interpreted on those levels also. So when someone's feeling of attachment is very, very strong, even if they have cancer, they want to live, they don't want to die. But when people lose that sense of connectedness, with some things come up and they feel that they are not important, and they just want to die or something, right? So you maybe find some suicidal behaviors relating to attachment and stuff like that. So that concept is very, very important. Some people have this strong sense of connection to the beach environment. So anytime they're unwell, they go sit by the beach, they feel fine. Some people have this sense of connectedness to pets and stuff like that. So they keep pets, and that level of attachment also, makes life worth living for them. And so we develop these attachments. Apart from these things I've talked about, relationships. And there are some people that you meet, like for example, the first time I met Dr. Atta, there was a strong sense of connectedness to him, and friendship began there and then, right? So you grow up, you meet several people you really don't get connected to. But there are some people you meet, and all of a sudden there is this sense of connectedness to them, and you develop that sense of relationship. So all those attachments are necessary. And probably finally, let me add that the relationship we develop and the pleasantness of those relationships actually reinforces that attachment. And it has its own biological base. I think the mental health workers here, we know that there is something called oxytocin and dopamine and endorphins and all those, serotonin and all that. All these neurochemicals enforces these attachments, especially oxytocin, the feeling of bonding, the feeling of connectedness and bonding and stuff. Oxytocin is involved, right? And so there's this whole complex issues about the person I meet, the relationship begins, and it's pleasant, the memories associated with it, all these things actually influences attachment, and it starts all the way from the womb. Yeah, so maybe that's what I'll say for now, Dr. Atta. Asking me this big question.
Indeed, yes. You've set the stage with the warm-up. So attachment begins from the womb. It's interesting how children play in the presence of their parents. The parent is sitting down doing other things, and the child is crawling around, seeing stuff and all that. But the moment you realize that the moment it meets a threat, it crawls back hurriedly back to the parent. That becomes the safe haven for that child. And it's all part of the attachment. Anyway, let me allow Abna to add something to it. Abna.
Yes, as Dr. Nima rightly said, attachment starts right from the womb. It's actually an adaptive reflex forming primary attachment, because when the infant comes into the world, there's no, she's in a strange place, for lack of a better word. So how are they going to have their needs met? So this attachment forms as part of the infant's early wiring that, okay, my primary, it tends to be the primary healthcare giver. And sometimes when you say mother, you are asked why you say mother. But when the child comes out, the initial attachment point is.
Abna, hold on. I don't know. I'm the only one struggling to hear you, but Ike, do you have the same challenge?
Yes. Her line is bad.
I think Abna, you are using an earpiece or not?
Okay.
It's quite.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Is it better
so
now?
A little better.
Okay. I was saying that attachment serves as an adaptive reflex. It actually enables the infant to find its place in the world. So when the infant comes, he's helpless. But then that sense of, okay, when I cry, there's somebody there to respond to my needs. If I'm cold, there's somebody there to respond to my needs. There's somebody to give me a sense of feeling and belonging. It helps the infant know that, okay, this is a safe world. This is a safe world. So if the answer to that is yes, the infant develops that sense of this is a safe world, so I can explore my environment knowing that I am safe. So for the primary attachment, the infant is asking, is my caregiver accessible? Is my caregiver attentive? Is my caregiver responsive? If the answers to these are yes, then the individual develops a sense of secure attachment. So the individual can go out and explore their environment knowing that if there's a threat in my environment, I am securely attached. But however, if the response to these questions are no for the individual, then the individual develops a sense that no, the world is not friendly. The world is hostile. Because when I cry, there's nobody there. When there's danger, I don't know who's surrounding me. Then the individual develops a sense that an insecure attachment form. And these primary attachment forms play a big role in how we attach to others during later on in life or during adulthood. Of course, it doesn't mean that our primary attachment styles is safe, but then however plays a big part because going on there you'll be interpreting whatever stimuli is coming in based on how you were initially attached. So if that individual and other relationship is able to come across that, oh, okay, now you are safe, now I am accessible, and I'm responsive to you, then the individual will gain the sense that, oh, yes, so, the world can be a safe place. The world can be a safe place, but our primary attachment forms are formed in childhood.
Abna, your line is bad. I'm sure you've connected your Bluetooth to your phone, and that is what happened. You might may I suggest that you disconnect and talk directly into the phone? I think that would be better.
Okay.
Yes. Welcome, May. I see you.
Thanks.
Abna, let's hear you and check it out. Let's check your microphone.
Is it better now?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, it's better now.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Attachment styles are formed in childhood and they are adaptive. It's the way of the individual or the newborn learning about the world and feeling safe and secure in it. That, okay, my needs are met, be they physical, psychological, or otherwise, they will be met. So if the individual develops a sense that, okay, when I cry, somebody will come for whatever reason, then the individual develops a primary attachment that the world is a safe place. So they develop what is known as the secure attachment. But then if the individual thinks that, okay, is my primary caregiver accessible? Is the person attentive? Is the person responsive? If the responses to these issues are no, then the individual or the baby develops a sense that, okay, the world is not a safe or secure place in the first place. So they develop what is known as an insecure attachment style. But these are primary attachment styles, as I said initially. So in adulthood, they can be modified or they can be changed. So the person with an insecure attachment style might be able to learn in adulthood that, okay, the world is not so hostile. My attachment figure is accessible, is attentive, is responsive. The individual will get to know that, okay, then I can trust the world. So even though our primary attachments are formed in childhood, which serves an adaptive purpose, because the infant needs to latch onto somebody who will provide not only food, not only comfort, but take care of their psychological needs as well. It is so that forms our primary. But then as we grow older, our attachment styles can be changed and modified depending on the relationships we find outside. Thank you, Dr. Arthur.
Thank you, Abna. Pearl, would you like to top it up? The development of attachment from childhood to adulthood.
So, just as the previous presentation mentioned, attachment is in fact a very complex process, and it involves quality of the just as we know that we become an adult. It's a combination of both modifiable and non-modifiable factors, and a combination of both genetic and environmental factors. The same manner, attachment the interaction and traits or process, which is physiological. And for that matter, we could also say your temperaments are the ones that you have no control. Then your environment, and that is where your attachment figure or your caregiver comes in, your farm, the societal norms, culture, how emotionally sensitive your caregivers and support system members are, how secure the relationship you have with the people around you are, the consistency within which your needs are met, and the social interactions you have. So we know that there are studies that show that they develop poorly in terms of social development. And when infants or the growing human being does not have adequate exposure to emotional stimulus, they tend to develop poorly also. And it's not just a matter of physical development, but neurologically at the biological level, the nerve systems, the neurotransmitters, and the proteins, the attachments we are describing to do not get the right, and these can lead to problems in adult life. Personality disorders can occur, mood disorders can occur, problems with interpersonal relationships. As we are saying, even the integrity of the adult attachment processes that occur in adult life can be affected. And issues like cultural and developmental, the environment you are in, that contribute to the parenting style you experience, and that can have an impact on the type of attachments that was mentioned. That it can lead to you developing a secure attachment style, an insecure avoidance attachment type, or an insecure ambivalent. The differences between these categories are based on the child's behavior, their responses to separation, that is any threat to their sense of safety, and even the reunion they experience if they are coming back into contact with the caregiver, and the areas of attachment style, emotional and social development, and also the impact of interpersonal relationships do affect the integrity of the attachment style development. And later on in life, as brain maturation and cognitive maturation and social and emotional maturation occurs, yes, the individual's brain is able to assimilate and cumulatively modify the schema or the templates that they have formed about their connectedness and their relationship with others. And that is where we begin to see defense mechanisms comes in. So there's a modification on the initial model that occurs. Unfortunately, traumatic experiences growing up can also further worsen any progress that was being made in the process of maturation. And that can also have a detrimental impact on the adult, the integrity of the attachment that an adult individual will form. So that's the bit that I'll add to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Phil. So Ike, building on that, let me ask that simple question, because from what I'm hearing, attachment begins from the womb, develops, and the response from the parents who are the first givers determines what happens in future. And yes, it's not the final thing, it can be modified. But considering the age in which we are in now, what do they call it? 21st century, when we have the issue of technology bombarding us left and right, and parenting has become something else. Ike, how can parents help to develop appropriate coping attachment styles in our children? What little things can we do to help them develop the appropriate attachment styles? Ike?
If Ike is not ready, maybe I can throw some light on it. So the
Please do.
structures, okay, the structures are basically the same fundamental issues. The issue of responsiveness of the caregiver, the issue of emotional availability of the caregiver. And I'm using caregiver because some people may be also their biological parents. And that role can be adapted by any responsible adults. So responsiveness of the caregiver, emotional availability, predictability of routine, physical affection, showing physical play and interaction, positive reinforcement, active listening. So let me start from the last point, which is active listening. Irrespective of the fact that now the sources of learning are so diverse for the growing individual, and parents, nuclear family, and the extended family and the community are not the only trainers of the human child. And so your child might be receiving training from someone who is miles away, who you may never meet in your lifetime. Having active listening skills as a caregiver is critical in playing a good positive role in the development of the child. So what do I mean? We have myths and perceptions in our society that children should not be heard, children should not speak, young people should not speak when adults are talking. But even for us psychiatrists, how do we assess the integrity of a person's mental process, but for if they express themselves? So
My facilitators, I think that we have.
Can be able to
Go ahead,
determine where they are, and the culture of children should not be heard, should not be seen. They have nothing to offer. In our era, it's going to be the downfall because psychiatrists, the only way we are able to access comes from listening actively to will not be able to filter the information they have accrued from their complex environment, social media, internet, etc., and will not be able to make the necessary modifications on the modifications they have put on the foundation we've given. Positive reinforcement of good behavior. Sometimes we have learned by default immature individual, and in the process we do not teach the right way of conduct. By so doing, we have left the person with little to deal with. And you find typically when we correct somebody, we end up rebuking without outlining the appropriate steps that should have been taken. And so we rather reinforce the negative behavior and the person is at a loss. So we keep seeing repetition of errors. We need to do positive reinforcement of good behavior. Commend good effort, commend initiative, commend the child who is being able to assertively express their needs. By so doing, we boost their self-esteem, which is essential for mental health. We boost their self-confidence, which helps them also develop their ability of being able to tolerate uncertainty and take risks, which is what resilience trait. The next point is play and interaction. I come from a background where I had strict authoritative parents until the point they realized that they needed to change the task. And what that does is that you do not form a trustworthy bond with a young developing person. And so when they are in crisis, you are not the safe haven for them to come to. Now, we learn a lot through play and interaction. Cracking jokes, making fun of even our shortcomings help us to tolerate the criticism better. And as people who are mentoring and molding the future generation, we need to actively take that role up. Physical affection. We have parents who, when they are in the house, they are both physically not present, even though you see them, they are emotionally not present. And that affects the quality of the attachment that is being formed in early life, middle life, and even later in life. What are the physical affections that are needed? Actions like touching, like hugging, like cuddling, giving high five, a pat on the back, all these deliver or convey the message of love and comfort. And we need to learn. Someone will say, I am fixated in my personality. This is how I am. This is how I have to be. Newsflash, it means you have developed a personality disorder as an adult. Yes, you are a consequence of generations of erroneous parenting, which has led to you developing an adverse effect. I believe that as an adult, you need to be able to self-analyze and change your ways so that you can have a positive impact on the future generation. Predictability of routine. A lot of us as parents are very inconsistent. One day you are commending initiative by praising the child for taking the step. The other day you are criticizing initiative. So the growing mind gets multiple signals and gets very confused. They are not able to predict what's the next step. Adults who are very disorganized in their thoughts, in their goals, and in their plans. And this is also an area that parents can improve on. Have a structure in the house. When we wake up in the morning, this is what is done. The next step is that. This is the next step. And we know that the human mind, before the concrete age of development, that is before the age of 12, needs consistency and structure in order to function, because that is how the nerves will be able to form good memory and keep a good record of the lessons that are being learned, so that they can retrieve the lessons learned well and be able to function. So we should realize that children and development parents should stop being present but on their mobile phones. You go to a home and everybody is on a mobile phone, and the child is crying as a sign of distress. And the session is that this child just enjoys.
Well, take a break. Let me allow Abner to continue from where you've ended, and let's see. Technology is not helping us today. Pearl, so take a break. Abner, take it up.
Yes, Dr. Asa, I hope you can hear me now.
Crying
Yes, I can.
is a response
Okay,
to symptoms.
Pearl, hold on.
And we need
Pearl,
to
hold
be
on.
responsive due to mean permissiveness. It is not a
Yes, Pearl can.
I went to
Pearl is traveling.
So I talked about emotional availability.
Mhm.
I talked about emotional.
Technology is good, but it can be a headache sometimes. It can be serious headache, my goodness. It can be serious headache. Pearl, hold your fire. I'll let Abna take it up, but I got that as parents, if you want to help your child adopt good attachment styles.
And the fact that
Oh
we
my
are all
goodness, she can't hear me. Okay.
So that
So,
I think she's out now. She's disconnected now. The network. She's off.
yes, my understanding is she's in a vehicle, and so when she starts firing non-stop until she finishes what she has to say. But from what I got, all that she was saying that as parents or as caregivers, if we want our children to adopt a positive attachment style, we need to be emotionally responsive. We need to have a structure in the house. We need to be available for them. We need to positively reinforce if they display or demonstrate a good behavior. There should be some sort of play and interaction. And available for them when they need us. Abna, is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, I think you have spoken about most of them, but as I was saying initially, with a primary attachment, there are three things. Is my caregiver easily accessible? Sometimes you can be in the room with a child, but you are not accessible. The child cannot access you. So you realize that when, as infants, you go into the next room and the child is following you. Mommy, are you there? Mommy, what are you doing? And the child will stay. Just to get that feeling that, okay, mommy is still around, or the primary attachment figure is around and is accessible. It gives the child comfort. And then is the primary attachment figure attentive to my needs? Are they attentive? So Doc mentioned the issue of media, of internet, the social media and all that. So sometimes you find that you are in the room with a child and you are thinking, but the child has eaten, he has taken his bath, and I am here. So you are staying on the phone the whole time, but the child is trying to get your attention. How adults bond with children, it's not the same way children bond with adults. So for the child, at that cognitive stage, all the child thinks about is that it's because of me. So the child doesn't realize the fact that maybe mommy is going through hard times herself. Maybe mommy needs to finish this presentation. No. All the child understands at that material moment is that mommy is not attending to me. Mommy is not listening to me. Mommy keeps saying, go away, go away. So then maybe I am at fault. It's because of me. Because they are egocentric at that stage. So the child is thinking, then it's my fault. Then what do I do to get mommy's attention? Either I learn to avoid my primary caregiver because I know the person will not be responsive to me. So I notice you are in the room, but I avoid you and my attention will be all over the place, maybe to even a stranger. Or I act out. Unfortunately, when the children start acting out, instead of being responsive in that moment, we tend to beat them up because we're already stressed. But the child doesn't understand that you are responding to stress. So later on, maybe the child will learn that, okay, maybe at that time, this was the reason. Then you have the other secondary forms of attachment coming in. Then the child will learn to understand that. But then at that primary stage, all the child knows is that mommy is not available. How can we help? We need to be in the moment with the child. Have age-appropriate conversations. Make the child feel that I see you. I don't only see you, but I hear you and I validate what you are going through. It's not about me at that moment. It's about the child. Because remember, the child is now developing. And when you look at Maslow's hierarchy, you even tell you that the attachment needs, that need for love, is a deficiency need. So if we are not feeling that need in the child at that time, it means that the child is growing up with a lot of deficiencies, and that would reflect on their adult relationship. as I said earlier on, even though attachment is not set in childhood, it's a primary attachment. So later on, we all interpret incoming information based on what we already know. So if I am secure, I've got that sense of security as a child, I'm more able to deal with you in the workplace because I'm more able to bounce back from a setback. It doesn't mean that going along the line, I might not come across an issue that might change my security, my sense of security. But then my primary attachment is secure. The same way it is not secure because the brain is still now developing. It's the areas I use most that are most developed. So for that child, the child has been locked into a defend myself mode, into a reactive mode. So that child grows up as an adult and they are reacting to everything and anything, and we don't understand what is wrong with you. But then the basis was set in the beginning when the child was learned that no, I cannot trust this world. So as parents, it's not enough to say that I've provided food, I've provided accommodation. And of course, life is such that maybe the primary attachment figure might not always be present because life happens. But then the person who steps in, if the person who steps in is able to meet these deficiency needs of the child, is able to meet these deficiency needs, then the child goes on to get a secure sense. So how are we meeting these needs? Is it even possible to be accessible, attentive, responsive 100% of the time? No, it is not. But then if you do it enough, the child knows that, okay, mommy has gone into the next room, but I know that whatever happens, mommy will come back. It's still a secure sense. It's still a secure sense. So childhood attachments are very, very important in how adult attachments are formed as well. Thank you, Dr. Arthur.
Thank you, Abuna. So from all that you said, not you alone, all of you, I hear the word secure, insecure, I hear anxiety, I hear avoidance, I hear fear. All this, I think, form into one category of attachment style or not. And I know clearly there are 4 different attachment styles. Let's get into the mental health bit. Ike, just briefly break down the attachment styles that we have, then give us the one that contributes to positive mental well-being. For me, and the one attaching to me, and the one that's cross attachment thing.
Okay, so generally, there are 4 types of attachments that we have: insecure and we have the secure, right? So we have the insecure and we have the secure. For the insecure attachment styles, we have the anxious or anxiety-related attachment style. And that is when the person has a negative perception about themselves, but they have a positive perception about whoever they are attached to. So for example, if it's a spouse, the person has a negative perception about themselves. They don't see themselves in a good way, but they see the other person in a positive way. Because of that, the person kind of becomes the better half of the person. What it means that they may even form their own identity and a sense of worth based on what the other person does, even for them. And for people like that, they tend to be overly dependent on the other person, even for their own safety, their own opinion about themselves, their own sense of worth and identity. So if you are married to someone like that, whatever the other spouse does is what makes them feel, a sense of worth about their own self, right? And what it means is that they may be overly jealous about the other person, and they may be overly clingy because the other person now has a certain value to them. And that can create a lot of problems even for them. So they are kind of preoccupied with the other person and what the other person does, and they are afraid that the other person will leave them or will stay and stuff like that. So they feel that kind of anxiety even about the other person and that relationship. So the little thing becomes big things even for them. Then the second one is the avoidant or dismissive kind of attachment style, where the person actually has a positive perception about themselves, but a negative perception about the other partner. What it means is that whatever they do actually becomes the basis for the relationship or the continuation of that relationship. And what it means that they do not want to depend on the other person, right? And basically, they may even form their own perception about the other person, and they may not be overly dependent on the other person. And they actually feel a certain sense of worth, more than the other person. And when they're losing that kind of relationship, it may not actually affect them much. Then we have the disorganized kind of thing where it's more like a flipping between the two of them. So today they feel better about the relationship depending on the situation. The next day they don't feel better about the relationship depending on what the situation is. So that is the disorganized kind of attachment style. Then the final one is the secure kind of attachment, where there is this mutual kind of and positive perception about the relationship, and that is kind of the stable kind of relationship. So the anxiety kind of thing, the disorganized and the avoidant kind of attachment, right? That one is an insecure kind of attachment. But the secure one is between two people who actually are matured, and the person has a positive perspective about themselves, and the other person is a kind of a shared kind of relationship. One person doesn't overly depend on the other person for something, and that kind of thing, and that is the more stable one. And if you look at people who have those kind of secure attachment, like we've been saying, it starts from childhood. And the childhood thing that I even wanted to add was the fact that when one parent compares a child with another child, it damages them, right? Then again, to when parents do not allow kids to be who they were born to be and force kids to be what society expects or what they think about life should be, that creates a problem. Psychology, we say real self and ideal self. Your real self is what others have forced you to become. Your ideal self is what you have the potential to become or you were created to become. If there's a disparity between the two, then it creates problems. So, for example, there are people who wanted to become architects, but parents have forced them to become doctors. And they are dissatisfied for life. They will be very, very dissatisfied. And they create a false identity around things they were not born to become, and that creates all kinds of problems for them. So these attachment styles, childhood development and stuff is so important in influencing these attachment styles. And if you're a spouse and you don't have a good understanding about where the person is coming from, then you may misinterpret their actions to mean that one, either they don't love you enough, or two, they are not good enough, or three, maybe they have something that they're actually selfish. Some clients will say that, why doesn't my wife want me to do what I want? She's always complaining about this, complaining about this. They may even interpret it as lack of maturity, with the other spouse. So all those things can create unnecessary problems for them. It is kind of stressful to actually have a relationship with someone who feels insecure. All the activity around that person can be very, very burdensome for that spouse. Again, too, some of these things are kind of contagious in a way. Psychological things are kind of contagious. What it means is that how the other spouse feels can be transferred to you, such that you may have that rebound kind of effect even with your spouse because of the way they behave and the way they feel about things. It can also affect you as a spouse. And with time, you may also develop that kind of emotional problems that your spouse have. Because we are deeply connected and emotional with each other, there can be that exchange of emotions from your spouse. And at the long run, you may also actually feel that way. Then again, you may develop some level of resentment towards your spouse or build an emotional wall, that can, have this effect also on your spouse. What it means is that whatever relationship you have with your spouse that is not going well and how they make you feel around themselves, you may actually build an emotional wall, that is meant to protect you from feeling the way you feel around your spouse because they have their own attachment problems. Right? So a lot of couples may actually build this emotional barrier as a way of protecting themselves, so that they don't feel the way they feel when they are in the company of the other spouse. So they actually build this emotional wall. And if care is not taken, they actually become very, very emotionally distant, even from each other. And again, if the interpretation of that, whatever is happening with the other spouse is not okay, what it means is that they may tend to build relationships outside the marriage that can be destructive or further worsen the problems. Because if a spouse does not enjoy the company of the other spouse, or they feel that they are not able to achieve the things that they want to achieve because of the other spouse, they will tend to trust other people outside the relationship, and that can create problems. It can also serve as a barrier to communication in the marriage. Because, for example, if I have a dream, maybe to travel to do this project and that project, and anytime I want to travel, you make it look like you don't want me to go because you are afraid that when I go, something is going to happen. And a time will come that the spouse won't feel confident and comfortable in in discussing their plans even with their spouse. And that will further widen the gap, and that can create problems. There was this client that I had, that this lady, right from childhood, was having attachment problems because the mother, sent her to, there are some tribes in the country where if you give birth to a twin, they take them to the priestess for the priestess to, the priestess to tell them the destiny of the child. So the mother took this twin to the priestess, and the priestess said the younger twin is going to be the source of the problems in the house. So right from childhood, the problem in the house, they will put it on this child. So she didn't have this bonding with the parents and the family. She felt very, very isolated because we were blaming her for everything, and they didn't have that kind of relationship. So anybody who accepts her, it is so difficult to let the person be, right? She becomes very, very controlling and stuff like that. And that is what is affecting the marriage. So the spouse does not even have the freedom to dream and to achieve his dreams, because every little thing, the wife doesn't want to permit the man from doing what, permit him to do whatever he wants to do with his life. So it can actually affect even the pursuit of the person's goals and aspirations and stuff like that, because every little thing becomes a big thing. So this is some of the few things I wanted to say about what you asked. Thank you.
Wow. So apart from the secure kind of attachment style, all other three has its own challenges and problems. And until you have a better understanding.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Pearl, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Pearl.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes, it is better. Have you
Okay. So
have
I
you
think
landed
somebody
and
trying to call. So
have you landed and not moving?
come again.
Have you arrived and not moving?
Almost arrived.
So you are still moving. Okay. Okay. So you hold your
just to add let me add just a little bit to I joined in, and I think you were looking at the impacts on adults' life. The impact is widespread.
No,
And
Pearl, please hold on. I'll come back to you with a specific question, then you would address it for me.
Great.
I'll come to you with a specific question and you address it for me.
Okay.
Since you are in and out of it, I don't want to lose track. But Abner, would you like to add something to what I said? Because I saw you nodding your head and smiling.
Oh, yes. What I'd like to add is that fortunately, attachment styles, primary attachment styles are not written in stone, for lack of a better word. So
Okay.
yes, like in adult relationships, especially with intimate partner relationships, as part of the relationship counseling or marriage counseling, we encourage each of them to get to know about the other's upbringing. Where did they grow up? How was the house? What were kind of attachment styles that they were exposed to? so that if you have an understanding, then maybe you can help each other. Of course, everybody would like to have a secure attachment style. So even if I have an unsecure attachment style and my partner in the moment is able to make me feel that, oh, okay, I'll be accessible when you need me. We go out to a party. I can't find you. When I look around, I see you. Oh, okay, there's a certain comfort. I've seen you. I want your attention. Oh, you give me some attention. Okay, I'm okay. You have been responsive. I get that sense of security. So then I am more able to interact with others. But then if something goes wrong and I do not get that kind of secure base with you, then I'll revert to whichever kind of insecure attachment I have. Am I going to be avoidant and pretend you are not even there? Am I going to look for that attention for somebody else who is willing to give me that attention? Or am I going to act out? So whether we are babies or we are adults, the attachment styles we are looking for are relatively the same. So we learn, and how do I help myself? You see, these attachment styles, they affect the person's self-esteem, the person's sense of worth. That is why I think that if I don't have you with me, then I have to keep you. So I have to merge myself into you. But then as adults, we learn new attachment styles. It helps to understand where each of us is coming from. And with me, for a person who doesn't have a secure sense of attachment, or somebody who has an insecure sense of attachment, it helps therapy helps. You build a sense of self. I am worthy. I am worthy of being loved as a person. And then it also helps you. Doesn't mean that I will have the same attachment style with everybody. No. It doesn't mean that, because as I said initially, I'm interpreting incoming stimuli based on what I already know. So it's possible to have a secure attachment with my child, but not have a secure attachment with my husband. And it also helps for the adult mental health. If that person's primary health giver or primary attachment figure had created that secure sense in that individual, as I said initially, it positively impacts how that individual is going to face whatever information is coming in at the present moment. But then if at the best I already have an insecure attachment, it means that, as I said, I'm already locked into the survival mode. I'm already locked into the reactive attachment disorder mode. So everything that is coming in, I'm already reacting to it. Yes, sometimes it's a lot of work trying to get that person back to their sense of self, but therapy helps. And then when the partner is also aware of where I am coming from, then we can both help each other up into a secure adult attachment type. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Pearl, picking it up from there, now I'm seeing insecure kind of attachment style. So this individual in a dating relationship builds himself or herself around the partner. It's the partner and the partner only. Now, you, our counselors, are telling us that that is not too good. That is not too good for our mental health. But the question is, which we are trying to allay here, why does this kind of building our lives around this individual occur, and what can we do to, say, detach ourselves from this kind of attachment style to a more secure kind of thing, so that, because like too much of everything is bad, so you attach yourself to me and it's only me and nobody else, it's only her and nobody else. Pearl, are you in a good position to take it up?
Yes, I am. I think I have quite a good signal here, so I'll try and be fast and get the points out. So
Okay.
what actually happens to your brain as you are growing up is that your brain is storing a memory profile of your interactions with your environment. And it's keeping a close record of it as you go through the various experiences. Now, as you're growing up, it is restructuring that information based on your experiences. And here you are, you have learned through your parents hiding and running away and leaving you at home and saying, I'll buy you an aeroplane and never bringing it. You've learned mistrust. You've learned insecurity. They're emotionally unavailable. So you've learned that whatever emotion you get, you had better hold on to it. Otherwise, when you lose it, there is no guarantee it will come. So in short, you've developed what we call a dependent personality disorder. This is a disorder in natural. And it becomes a disorder when it becomes so prevalent that it prevents you from living life to the fullest. And that is why your partner has become the air that you breathe. Now you feel insecure in any of the areas of your need, emotionality, and your brain now sends the signal called sympathetic activation. So your brain now says, there is danger, there's crisis ahead. And you see, the brain is not able to tell between pain of I've broken my bone and pain of I am hurt emotionally. It is all alarm signal. And then the brain decides that, hey, now we're in a crisis situation, we have to survive. So your body physically is also going to start sacrificing certain basic things in order to help you survive. And physiologically, you are in a state of emergency. And it will show up in the way you interpret the things around you. It will show up in your emotion. It will show up in your behavior. What is happening? Physically, what will happen is your heart has to beat faster because you're in an emergency situation. And so it has to be faster and provide nourishment to the rest. Lead to you developing conditions. It says we need rapid energy. And so it will change your appetite. You begin to crave for unhealthy foods to provide fast energy. And this can lead to you developing lipid problems and can lead to you even developing diabetes. The same process can lead to you developing conditions like arthritis, generalized body pain, headache. Now, in a state of alarm clinically, it means that your system has to be in a state of hyperarousal. So you need to be awake and alert to fight to survive. So your sleep will be disturbed. Your eating will be disturbed. Attachment state to anxiety. In fact, what I describe reaction is you acting on any side, your brain remembers your experience in child, even the ones that you don't remember the vivid details. So the process is activated. And this puts you at risk of principally primary or panic attack, which can progress into you developing conditions like depression, which can continue to lead to developing more serious mental health problems. As for symptoms like memory problems, sleep disturbance, appetite disturbance, they are like the everyday things you experience. Body pains, cardiovascular problems, ulcers.
Ike, Isaac.
Yes.
Attachments that you have developed. And what can we do about it?
Your line has gone bad again. Ike, technology is not helping today. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So that
I can hear you.
good. Back to the issue at hand, the insecure kind of attachment style. I have revolved myself around this individual. And in what ways do some partners take advantage of this situation to abuse their partners, either emotionally, psychologically, or physically? In what ways? So that people would know that this person is abusing me because I'm attached to him. I have wound my life around her.
Well, so I think apart from all the abuses that can come up, what do you call it? Physical, emotional, verbal, sexual abuse that can come out. Usually, some of those things is what maintains the abusive behavior. So, if a partner feels attached to this person and feels very insecure around this person, they may not report it or move away from that abusive relationship. You know, so abuse is possible. So a person can take advantage of that person and abuse them. Two, they may actually manipulate them to doing what they want in terms of when it comes to pursuit of any goal at all. So if there is a project coming up, they may manipulate them. They may use that to manipulate them to get what they want. So it can be some favors, also favors apart from the goals in terms of making them do what they like. It can also, in terms of some favors, it can be financial favors, it can be travel favors, it can be whatever favors that it may be, right? Then again, they can actually use that to get some other things that they want. So if there is some deals that may be coming up, even in the marriage, it can be work-related deals, it can be whatever. They can use that against them. Then again, in terms of the kids, raising the kids, you know, parents have a way of courting favors from their kids against the other spouse, especially if whatever the other spouse is doing, they may not be happy about. So when it comes to even raising the kids and relationship with the kids, especially when having the kids to their side will give them a certain advantage, the other partner can use that against the spouse. So these are some of the few things that come to mind. Yes.
Abner, so that what I'm an insecure partner, I've revolved myself around you. And so there is relocation and I get anxious. There is threat of breakup and I'm forced to do things I'm not supposed to do just to keep the relationship going. Inwardly, I'm not happy, but there is nothing I can do about it. What advice would you give to such a person to help that person?
Okay. As I said, attachment styles, even though we have private attachment styles, they are not fixed in stone. First, you need to identify for yourself what are the triggers in your environment. Remember, as I said, it has to do with self-esteem. It has to do with self-esteem. I'm nothing without the other person, so let me make myself. It has to do with the person will give me the attention anyway, so why don't I just avoid that individual? All these things have a negative impact on me. Am I using reactive attachment? All these things have a negative impact. So you need counseling. Sometimes you will need counseling. Sometimes as we grow older, in view of what we are learning, we are able to adjust some of these insecure types. We are able to understand that, okay, maybe my primary health giver or my primary attachment figure were having issues themselves. But then all in all, we will benefit, as an individual will benefit from therapy. You need to build your sense of self-esteem. You need to be able to learn how to be accepting for yourself. Of course, if you're in a relationship with somebody who is already egocentric and you are avoiding issues, the person will keep doing what they want to do. And then because they are fully aware that you avoid the issues and you will not say anything. Is that a healthy way of living? No, it is not. Then you have all these symptoms that Dr. Pell was talking about. So counseling is essential. Learning to understand that I am worthy as an individual. I am worthy of love as an individual. I am worthy of respect as an individual. Learning to be assertive. Asking for what you want when you need it. The other person will not be able to read your mind. So if I ignore him and if I avoid him, he will pick up on the fact that things are not well. So maybe I should change what I'm doing. No, they won't do that. As long as they are getting their way, they are happy. So we will benefit from counseling. We will benefit from building our self-esteem, sense of self-esteem up, and then learning to ask for what we want when we want it. And of course, if the relationship is abusive, you've gone through all the issues. Remember, your mental health is paramount. Your mental health. You are the only person who will live permanently with your mental health. So counseling is very, very important. And understanding partner health. Both of you will benefit from couple counseling.
Let me call my sister in. May, let me hear your voice. She's not registered, she's not listed as a facilitator, but I know in consultancy what she does. May, are you there?
Yes, Dr. I'm here.
Okay, good. Good. Now I'm going through all this, should I say, trauma, because I'm insecure. I've built my life around you. So I call you 100 times a day. I mean, without you, I can't survive. But I realize that you are taking advantage of me here and there. Now, Abna is telling me that I need to build my self-esteem. I need to build my self-confidence. I need to feel worthy.
Yeah.
So that my mental health will be in that good space. What practical little things, that I can do, even before coming to your consultancy room? What little things can I do to help myself build my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-confidence? Then I can deal with my partner.
Okay, well, from what I gathered, I mean, the scenario you just painted, I'm already in this relationship. So it means my self-esteem is probably down to 0.
Yeah.
Right? So I am not in a position really to help myself. Because whoever it is I have around me, my social support system, supposed to build up my self-esteem, is what's bringing me down. So it's very difficult even to do something that you think makes you feel worthy of anything. You know what I mean? So self-esteem indeed is exactly what it says, self. But yourself has been battered. So then how do you literally drag yourself from the bottom? Well, you can, in terms of if their kids try to see the role you play in their lives, you're a mom or your spouse is not feeling happy. I'm listening to the different kind of scenarios painted here, and I'm trying to figure out how somebody can. If you don't have anybody besides a spouse as a support, then you're in real trouble. And it's not easy to build your self-esteem up. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be acknowledging that there is a problem. But if you can, you have just an iota of that left, and you can look in the mirror and tell yourself that he doesn't want me or he doesn't appreciate me, but my kids do. Because sometimes you can't even appreciate yourself, you see. But if you can find something in the home, I normally tell clients to put something on a wall, something they can read, some motivational, inspirational thing, something they've achieved from even way back before they go into this relationship. That will remind them of their self-worth before they got into this. Then that is the first step. But if not, you're going to need, as you said, some couples counseling, serious couples counseling. I'm not trying to be negative, but that's the reality on the ground.
That's the reality. And I am the one taking advantage of her So if she asked me we should go for counseling, would I? I would not. But I would not, but she needs the help. So she would have to, or he, because it's a two-way thing. The victim, I should say, is the one who should get himself up and go for counseling if the other partner would not. I mean, counseling even for those in dating, we are just dating, but you find out that one has insecure kind of this thing. I mean, it will be hard to get the other one to go for counseling. So you have to take that step to go for counseling. And because I see that person as, without him or without her, I can't survive. And there's the threat of breakup, I fear. The person wants to relocate, I fear. So I succumb to demands and all that. But at a point in time, realize that what can I do? I have to detach myself from that individual, because realize that it's taking advantage of me, abusing me. Pearl, what has been the case in your consulting room? My participants, I think from now on, you are free to ask a question. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and we can take your question.
Repeat that. Please kindly repeat the narrative.
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me clearly now? Pearl, can you hear me clearly now? But I can't hear you. Oh, Pearl.
Yes, please repeat the question. Oh, is it better? Is it better? Hello? Hello?
Slow down, Pearl.
So I have stopped. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, slow down.
I've stopped.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me ask, where are you at the moment? No, it's not working between myself and Pearl. Amna, Pearl, can you please mute yourself? Pearl, please mute yourself. I don't know why I cannot mute Pearl from here. Okay, I think I have. Okay. No questions so far. I think that there is so much clarity in the system. Abna. Hello, Abna.
Hello. Yes, my line dropped.
Yes, I noticed that. There is a question from J. Beck. Let me take that question. And J. Beck, unmute and let's hear your question.
Hi, Dr. Arthur, and your experienced speakers. This is Jennifer Bexon, Doc. I'm joining the program today. I don't have a question except that I've really enjoyed it and I wanted to commend you and all your speakers. It's been very insightful. Been very insightful. I mean, I'm a pastoral counselor at church, and I found your discussions to be very helpful, providing a lot of resource for me to, in my dealings with clients and members of the Congress. So just to commend you all, thank you.
Finally, you came in without me pulling you. after missing a lot.
Better late than never, Doc.
Better late than never, my dear. Better late than never. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other question? This counseling and detachment, what do I need to do? How do I prepare myself to come for counseling? I want to detach myself, or I must come for counseling to build my self-esteem and self-worth and all that. How do I prepare myself?
How do I prepare myself? Dr. It's not an easy thing to do, especially if you are coming from a broken, secure base. So that is the only way you know or you define as love. So how do I prepare myself? Sometimes it takes a lot. Sometimes it takes the individual hitting rock bottom. What then really is rock bottom is different from everybody. But then there comes a point in time where, as an individual, you need to realize that, as I say, you are worthy for yourself. No matter what has gone on, you are still made in the image of God and you are worthy. So you need to take care of yourself. If there are children involved, if you are not taking care of yourself, consciously or unconsciously, you'll be transmitting that same attachment style to your children without being aware, because you are reactive. How can you can only give out of what you have or what you are experiencing at the moment. So sometimes you just need to sit down and look at yourself and ask, would I want the kids to be going through the same thing I'm going through? How long can I keep on acting like that? Remember, a secure attachment style is something that we all crave for. It's something that we all long for. Some are better at detaching themselves and behaving like they don't need it. So they'll just tune it off, but we all need it. So valuing yourself as an individual. As I said, your mental health, you are going to live with that state for the rest of your life. How long are you going to live in this quote unquote unhealthy relationship and stay because when I go for counseling, he won't go, and what is going to happen? First and foremost, it's about you. You need to take care of yourself. So in marriage counseling, we talk about the I-we balance. First and foremost, you need to ensure that you are functioning at your optimal level, that you are healthy emotionally and psychologically. And then perhaps from your point, you can act as a healing point or as a redemptive point for the partner. I like it was a joke that you made that what if the husband doesn't want to come? Somehow, say when we do marriage counseling, you get more women coming in, and getting the husband to come is very, very difficult. Doesn't mean that because my husband is not willing to come, I shouldn't seek for my emotional and psychological well-being. No, it does not mean that. You also need to learn how to healthy coping mechanisms for yourself. It is your mental health. It is your mental health. You need to be proactive about it. You need to be proactive about it. You need to start asking challenging questions as to why all this is going on. Counseling is for your benefit. Before you can heal the next person, you have to be in a healthy frame of mindset. You need to be in a healthy place psychologically and emotionally. These relationship issues, they don't only affect the person our significant other or the other person we are in that relationship with. You'll find that it extends outside. It extends outside. If I'm always reactive, everything else, no matter how much I try, I will go back to that reactive state. So you need to look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am worthy as an individual, with or without that attachment figure. And then you seek healing first for yourself. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. And sometimes even the relationship, the two partners being there, why not even be necessarily healthy for the children's mental health state? might not necessarily be healthy for the children's mental health state. So first and foremost, heal yourself as an individual. And then from there, you can be a catalyst for change for the others involved. Look in the mirror and say, I am worth more. I am worthy. I am still made in the image of God. And seek help for yourself. Thank you, Dr. Hassan.
Thank you, Abna. May, I'm in church with this young woman. And because we are in church, it's only me, Kwan Onim. She only calls me, she only wants to go out with me. Even friends are crap on or baby. What advice do you have for this woman who is in dating relationship with me?
No, do you mean you as a guy?
As a guy, yeah, I beg, as a guy, I beg. You want my wife to come and meet me?
And you're sure there are no romantic undertones?
And that was right in church.
Hey.
So hypothetical, I'm talking hypothetical anyway.
Okay, I don't know. Why did she pick you? Okay. So you must have expressed
interest.
Exactly. I mean, maybe it was just platonic, but she has latched on to you. Okay. And it happens. That's how we have stalkers. I mean, they latch on to people. Yes. So you're asking what you can do to make her understand that you're not interested in a platonic relationship or a romantic one. You wanted to know.
Oh, no, they didn't get me. We are in a romantic relationship. And she's so attached to me because he has an insecure attachment style.
Okay.
And clearly from our discussions, it's not too healthy for both of us. I'm saying my question is, what advice, because we are definitely going to marriage, and an insecure attachment style would only intensify as we go along.
Okay. So you're looking at two people, right? So I would like to know what type of attachment style you have. If it's a dismissive type, then you are going to see hers. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You're going to see hers as being perhaps too much.
Yep.
And it might be just normal attachment because she's in love and she wants to get married. So again, I worry about these things if I don't know the style the other person has anyway.
Okay.
So in a session, I'd be able to figure that out. Okay, so you don't want anybody being clingy. In your mind, she's clingy, but then in her mind, she's just behaving normally. So the advice I would give to you would depend on your attachment style as well.
So counseling, it still comes back to counseling.
Yes.
It still comes back to counseling. They need to talk to the professional. They need to talk to the professional to get going, to have that clarity of mind, to know how they can co-live together.
Because this is supposed to be a lifelong relationship.
A lifelong thing, yeah.
And if I am not the kind that likes people around me, I am going to see this other person's normal attachment style as too much.
As too much.
Or either as a anxious style or whatever. So then we will need to talk about these things. Why are you seeing this person as being too much? And then also if the other person doesn't even see it that way. And then we can go ahead with our relationship. Otherwise there'll be problems ahead.
Fantastic. All right, let's wrap it up. There's no question again. Good. I think the presentations from you guys have been clear without any hitches. So there are no questions. That is good. And we are almost 10 minutes out of time, which, forgive us, we are fine. So final words, help-seeking strategies general idea and all that. Let me start with you, Abna.
Okay. My final word is that attachment is important. As I said, Maslow defines it as one of the deficiency needs. All of them, everything is talking about building trust in a sense of autonomy. Attachment is important. As parents, how we relate to our children, that forms the basis of their primary attachment. The child does not understand that mommy is having an issue at the moment, or because of one or two things, mommy is not available. Indeed, it's not possible to always be available, but who is stepping in? Is the person providing those psychological attachment needs as well? As adults, though we might have issues from attachment, early attachment issues, it does not mean it's set in stone. We can always identify what our triggers are, what kind of attachment style we have. If it's not healthy and you cannot cope on your own, as Dr. May said, sometimes it's difficult to bring yourself up. There's no shame in asking for help. Counseling will help you. Reaching out to a secure support base will help you. If my partner does not want to go, please do it for yourself. Remember that these things tend to be cyclical. Whatever attachment style that I might have had as a child, sometimes consciously or unconsciously, that is how I'm also relating to my children. So let's be conscious about how we are nurturing the next generation. Mental health is important. The more we talk about it, the better. Thank you, Dr. Arthur.
Thank you. Ike.
Yes, so I want to say that, yes, mental health issues go beyond respectfully someone who is mad, you know. And so if you have a spouse who has issues, they also have a mental health issue. So see them as unwell and seek help for them instead of using whatever they're struggling with as a tool against them. So all these things we are talking about today, they are mental health issues. And that is why if the person seeks a professional kind of care, it is better. And so people should seek help, professional care, when they are going through some kind of difficulty. And it's always good for couples to seek help together instead of blaming the other and actually pushing the other to go seek help alone. And again, adults are a reflection of their childhood. And so if you're a parent, you need to be very, very careful how you handle your kids. You know, any negative experience is likely to affect that child. And whichever child you're raising is going to marry or may not even marry because they may have some problems because you failed as a parent. And so parents should have to be very, very careful. Little things are big things for kids because adults are a reflection of their child. So we need to be very, very sensitive whatever we do with our kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pearl, are you there? Hello, Pearl. Hello, Pearl. Technology. Pearl dropped off. May, would you like to just chip in a closing remark?
Hey, Doctor, no, I think the experts have said it.
All right. Thank you very much. For me, I mean, clearly, attachment styles are complicated, and it is supposed to make the relationship better and rich. But depending on the style each of us has, that will determine how rich and good our relationship would be it as it may. If one does not have a good, using the word good, a good insecure attachment style, it has its own problems that gives us mental health issues. The best thing that one can do is to seek for help. So like me is saying, if you seek for help, then an assessment of you as well as your partner's attachment style would be assessed, and a proper help can be provided. Worst case scenario, it is you who is experiencing mental health problems. And for that matter, you should seek help for yourself. For the sake of your sanity, you should seek help for yourself. That being said, we should be mindful that what our children are seeing of us now is a major contributory factor to the attachment style that they will develop as adults. And for that matter, we need to be supportive. There are little ways that we can help them, which includes that we need to be available for them, we should be emotionally supportive, we should play with them, we should interact with them. We should positively reinforce a behavior, taking particular note of negative attitudes. Then again, we should be responsible to their needs and pay attention, have a structure in the house. These are little things that we can do to make sure that our children develop the appropriate attachment style. If you are insecure, it has issues with your self-esteem and self-worth, the lack of confidence in yourself. Is it to ground zero? If it is to ground zero, you need to go for counseling. If you don't go for counseling, for me, what I say is that it gets worse. The moment you identify, you realize that you have a problem, seek for help. And there are professionals out there who are willing and able to help you. So on that note, let me say a very big thank you to our facilitators, Abna, Ike, and Pearl, and supporting backing vocalist May, who gave a backing tune to make it nice. Thank you all for giving us a wonderful presentation. And to you, our participants, you've always been there. Thank you for being with us all through and through. This for October. Next month we'll have another one, and that will be the final for the year. In December, everybody is running around, so I've decided that December there will be no show, but we'll do the final one for next month. So God willing, next month we pray we are in good health and we have life. We will meet again with another interesting topic. So until then, have a very good and fruitful weekend. Get some good sleep, get some good rest, a little bit of fun, and we will survive. We'll survive. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see each other same time next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.
All right.
Some messages that